Coffee Time with Dave on WHUR.
Good morning and welcome back to Coffee Time with Dave! Yeah! We do that on Al's album hour. But, welcome back to the show, everyone. Today I have a very special guest. Very special because he's far, far away today, because he's in California. The one and only Steve Geckler! Your computer Steve today.
Computer Steve.
Hey, how you doing? Computer Digital Steve here. I'm just outside of San Diego, California. But my heart is in Madison, Connecticut. Really, because I've spent so much time there. And I'm from New England. I'm from Massachusetts. And I'm from Agawam, if anybody knows Agawam.
Agawam!
It's more famous because that's where Six Flags is. So everybody knows that.
All right, awesome. Well, we're going to have a great show today. Isn't that right, Steve?
It's going to be fun.
Yeah. Well, do you have your coffee ready?
I do have my coffee ready.
All right. What else do we need? Oh, we should play a song before we get started.
That sounds good.
Yeah, do you have any suggestions?
Oh my God, I can't think of one for
we might need to take like 50 minutes just to pick a song now.
Let's see. Do I want to listen to folk music? Do I want to listen to classic rock? Do I want to listen to like heavy metal? Oh, I can't think. Oh. Okay, we'll make it easy. Can we play a David Bowie song?
Forgot what my father said. I forgot what he said. I forgot what my mother said as we lay on your bed. A city full of flowers, a city full of rain. I got 7 days to live my life, or 7 ways to die. I forgot what my brother said. I forgot what he said. I don't regret anything at all. I remember how we went on a bridge of violent people. I was small enough to cry. I got 7 days to live my life, or 7 ways to die. Hold my face before you, still my trembling heart. 7 days is to live my life, or 7 ways to die. Forgot they made me, so I forgot them too. I listen to the shadows, I play among their graves. My heart was never broken, my patience never tried. I got 7 days to live my life, or 7 ways to die. 7 days to live my life, or 7
Hello everyone, here's a little interruption to promote the new merch store for Coffee Time with Dave. If you go to shop.spreadshirt.com/CTWD, you can see the t-shirt and the coffee mug that we have on there. Please check it out and support Coffee Time with Dave. Thank you very much.
Shop.spreadshirt.com/CTWD.
Welcome back. Have you ever run into anyone famous, Steve?
Oh, wow. It's funny that you asked me that. It's just yesterday, we were going to this restaurant that I have not been to literally for maybe 10 years. And was meeting some friends there. They hadn't gotten there yet. And we kind of were walking in the door. And the way this place is, it's actually set up kind of crazy because you're paying right where you're walking into the dining room of the restaurant. And so you always get a lot of people congested there. And it wasn't really too congested. And I'm standing there waiting for Barb to kind of get in the door. My wife Barb, to get in the door. And I look over and I see, like when you see somebody who's famous, somebody who's like a star, and you're like, oh, that's somebody right there. I don't know. I can't think of who it is, but you know that they're famous. And so I'm looking and I'm going, oh, who is that? Who is that? And so then Barb comes in, and then we're walking to the dining room of the restaurant. And I walk right past the famous person, look right at him and go, hey, how you doing? And then he goes, hey. And so then we get to our table, and then I'm trying to rack my brain. Who is that? Who is that person?
Yeah.
Then I finally turned to Barb and said, I think that was Robert Kraft, the owner of the Patriots. And of course, he's in Boston, East Coast. I'm on the West Coast. I'm at this really dinky restaurant, and it's like 3:00 in the afternoon. And then I finally realized that was Robert Kraft. And he was just kind of paying, the thing that got me was he was as tall as I am, and I'm kind of short. And so you always think that famous people are always taller.
Yeah.
So he was looking right at me, and then I said to Barb, I said, I think that was Robert Kraft. And then I looked it up on my phone. I saw some pictures of him. I said, that was him.
That's
But
funny.
it's crazy when you run into somebody like that, but I've actually had that happen a few times in my life. And living in California, there's always famous people around somewhere in town or whatever. You do run into them. And so you learn to not bug them. You don't bug them.
Yeah.
You don't run up and, hi, I love you. And you just kind of like, hey, how you doing, to be cool about it. So that was that.
Yeah.
But it was so weird.
That's a funny story, yeah. Haven't met anyone famous yet, myself, but, you live in the good area for it. You live in San Diego, so.
Yeah. Well, when I lived in Connecticut, I used to work in Westport, Connecticut.
Okay.
Westport is one of those towns where there's a lot of famous people that live there. And, I worked at a landscaping company, and I did everything and anything to make money throughout the year. And at Christmas time, we delivered Christmas trees to people's houses.
Okay, yeah.
And then I delivered to quite a few famous people, about 5 or 6 famous people,
Wow.
Christmas. And then they would come into the nursery, and you would see somebody and like, oh, that's somebody famous. Wow. But the weird thing was, it was right when Martha Stewart was in Westport, Connecticut, and she was doing her catering company. But if I had run into her, I wouldn't even know it because she wasn't really famous then, So, but I don't think I ran into her. But I did see a few famous people there. I remember seeing Barry Manilow driving his car one time, and there was an old newscaster, Harry Reasoner. He was there. And there was another one of those people that was like, "Whoa, he's really short."
Yeah.
But that was like, you did see that was when I did see some famous people. And I used to go up to LA a bunch when I was a lot younger.
Yeah.
And you would just be in a shopping, you'd be like buying food, and then they'd come walking around like, and they look at you, they give you the evil eyes, like, don't talk to me. So it's like, you just kind of like look at them and, okay, that's somebody famous. I can honestly say I've actually run into a few famous people in my life.
That's pretty cool.
Well, it's interesting to me, maybe not to you guys. But.
I think it's cool. I think it's a cool stories, come from meeting famous people sometimes. You have certain people that are just, oh, I don't want to talk to you, like you were saying,
Yeah.
But then you have certain people that are just so nice.
They're really nice, yeah. And they sit there and they talk to you. All this other, I just thought of something. When I was over at SeaWorld here in San Diego once, I used to have a pass, so I used to go all the time. And I ran into Gallagher, of all people.
Oh.
He was with him, and somebody from the park was walking him around. And I kind of came up next to him and sort of said, "Hey, how you doing?" And I was talking to him, and he was just totally ignoring me. And then I just sort of said, "Okay, I guess you don't want to talk." And I walked away.
Oh my gosh.
And then he said something which I can't remember or probably can't repeat. And then I walked away. But
Yeah.
it's just weird how little things like that happen in life. But that's a small story just got into a huge story. And I know this show is not that long, so.
You were saying you lived in Connecticut, and I know you stayed at Little Colony. You stayed there most summers, way back when. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. That's basically a good portion of my life. Living up in Massachusetts, we were very lucky to have a summer cottage down in Connecticut. And it's got this cutesy little name, which is kind of what everybody does around the shoreline. They gave it a name called Little Colony because it's a grouping of about 35 cottages. And I basically spent my entire 25 years on the summer right there because it's basically very close to the shoreline. And it was a place that my grandfather built. And our family is actually very lucky to have that. It's just a great little getaway. It's not that far it's less than a 2-hour drive from Massachusetts. And I literally spent from the day you got out of school in May till the first day you went back to school in whatever, September, in Madison, Connecticut, right there. And,
Nice.
And I just rode my bike all over the place and it was great. I loved it. Hammonasset, the beach and everything is right there.
Yep.
We'd go to the beach all the time and just sit at the beach, swim and all that stuff. And the kind of funny thing is that your grandmother lives a couple doors down from where Little Colony was, where I was, which meant your dad was right there, and we're not that much of a difference in age, but maybe enough that we didn't hang out. And I'm really surprised that I didn't hang out with your dad, or at least know your dad then. That was my connection that got me down to Madison. And then I always knew that when I retired, I wanted to spend time in Madison because it's a beautiful, great little town. And so I said, okay, we're going to use the cottage in Little Colony when I retire. Well, that didn't work out because it basically became my sister's place and all of her kids now. So we sort of decided that, okay, this isn't going to work out. So we were very lucky. The timing was perfect that there was a house for sale basically across the street. Wow. And I sort of looked at the place and I loved it. And it was great. It's a great house. I love it. Yep. And that house happens to be right across from David's house.
Yeah.
We're basically neighbors. And so that's how I got to know David and his family. And it's wonderful. You guys are great. You're the best neighbors you could ever ask for. And it's been been a great friendship with you guys and your family.
Yeah, we're very glad that we know you guys too. Why don't we talk about some music?
Wait, say that again. You broke up.
Why don't we talk about some music?
Okay, sure. Sure. It's something that I could talk about for literally 24 hours a day. It's something that would totally encompass my life. Like I said, from the time I was like 13, 14 years old, when I started to get my own money from cutting grass and, doing all these, any little thing to make money, wash your car, carry your groceries, or do whatever.
Yeah.
And so I used to cut grass over in Little Colony. I used to cut everybody's grass and make like a few dollars, but to me it was a lot of money and it was great. So I always had spending money. And so I got old enough to go and buy some stuff. I would always go and buy some records and some music, and then when I got old enough to get a car and was able to travel, I would literally every weekend I would go to a record store. We're talking back in the 60s, 70s, 80s. And there were tons of record stores and records. I would always buy used records because they were all cheap. And there's really nothing wrong with used records.
No, not at all.
You can look at them, you can check them out. And so literally that was my thing that I did when I was a kid. I was a pretty quiet, shy kid. And that was my hobby, and that's what I loved to do. And I would go to record stores and spend hours every Saturday. And so that's why I have literally 3,000 records in my collection. And I've actually started to collect records in Madison. We have about 600 records there. Yeah, so I've been sort of developing my record collection on the East Coast. And David knows I have this thing about turntables.
Oh
I'm
my gosh.
always looking for a turntable, but I'm really okay. You can record this and play this anytime. I need to hear it. I don't need another turntable. I don't need another turntable.
Got it, Steve.
But I'm always looking for them because it's one of those fun things to do. And I lost track of how many I have in Madison. I have at least 4 working turntables, and I have at least 2 turntables that people gave me, of all things. When I stopped looking for turntables, people started giving me turntables. And so
Just about time.
I know. You can never have enough turntables, but it's just kind of fun. And I was trying to think how many turntables I have here in California. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I have 4 turntables here. And I just bought one.
Oh my gosh.
I just bought one about a month ago. And believe me, I have this little thing on my phone. It's called Spend All Your Money app. No.
You're kidding.
No, it tells me where all the yard sales are. You guys call them tag sales. And so it tells me where all of them are in the area. And so I just happened to look at one of these, and it was an estate sale, and it showed some records. And of course, I had to go look at records. And so I walk in, and what do I see is this beautiful turntable. They had a price of $60 on it, which these days is actually a good price. It's a pretty good price for a turntable. A lot of my turntables that I try to get them for nothing or as least amount possible. And but these days everybody wants turntables and they're real popular. But it was $60. It was a great deal. And everything worked on the turntable, which was great. And it had a dust cover that wasn't cracked. They're usually all cracked and broken. And the only thing that was wrong with this turntable was I don't think the people had cleaned or dusted the house in 20 years.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. So it was like there was a lot of dust on this thing, and I cleaned it up. I fixed the dust cover. I got that working, and it's my best turntable that I have now.
Oh,
literally
wow.
my best turntable because it's got a lot of functions. You can use it manually if you want to just put the tone arm on yourself. You can hit the button and it automatically does it. It'll go over and put it at the edge of the record and all that. And then you can play 45s and this and that. Everything works perfect. The cartridge is good, which is the heart of the turntable. And the needle, which is actually called the stylus, is perfect. It's got great sound and it's got some life in it for considering this turntable is really old. I really lucked out. And I even bought some records that day too. And then I have to try to figure out if I want to go record shopping Saturday. There's a guy, it's about an hour drive from here. And the guy has a whole bunch of records for sale for $3 a piece. And it's just kind of like, oh God, do I need any more records, But
Do you need any more records, Steve?
do I need any more records? No, I don't need any more. Actually, I don't. I've got so many records, but for the price is right, and when you buy them cheap like that, you can get a lot of records.
Yeah. Here, hold on, Steve.
Okay, remember now, I don't need anything else in my life. I don't need any more furniture. I don't need any more shelving. I do need more records. But
Or you do need more records, Steve.
see? Myself telling me that I do need more records. That's why I have so many records.
At least you have a collection of memories. How about
Well,
that?
I do, and I play my records every day, and I go on. I'm in a couple of Facebook groups, and I post what I play, and I talk with people literally all around the world, and we kind of type back and forth about records, and I've talked to people in England, I've talked to people in Russia, I've talked to people in South America. I haven't talked to them. We texted people back and forth. Music is a very common ground. Everybody loves some form of music, and it's good for the soul. Music is good for the soul.
That's right.
If you're feeling kind of depressed or down or unhappy, you can play music to make you happy. If you want to just hear some great music to relax, you can hear some quiet music to relax. And if you want to get all hyped up and amped up, you can listen to some great Led Zeppelin or something.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it truly is a universal thing, and everybody in the world loves music. And it really is a common language between everyone in the world. So it's a great thing. I think that's why I love it so much.
Me too. You've seen the Bohemian Rhapsody movie, right?
Yes, I can't say I've seen the whole thing. I watched only part of it.
Okay.
Never did finish it. Remember, I was watching it with you guys.
Yeah.
Never finished it. I think because your dad got tired or something. He was falling asleep in the chair. So I said, okay, we'll stop the movie. And then...
Yeah. But I finished it the other day, and it's really good. What did you think for what you've seen of the movie? What did you think?
It was great. It was anytime you can do any kind of documentary about music and especially about famous people, and kind of everybody knows Queen. And my little Queen thing is that I actually didn't like Queen when they first came out because they were really different. And it kind of is because of what I was listening to at the time. I kind of was like, I think if I remember, I was listening to a lot of punk and new wave and things like that. It was the 70s, the middle 70s. I can't remember when some of that stuff came out, but I would hear songs like, I want to ride my bicycle and stuff like that, and Fat Bottom Girls. And I'm like, I'm not sure if I like this music, But it was like, it took me like forever in later years of listening, actually really hearing Queen and listening to that, and falling in love with Queen kind of again, or really listening to the good songs. And so I really do enjoy Queen now. And I like the movie. It was like, you can always learn something about a band or a person whenever they talk about a documentary like that. That's why I'm always on YouTube or something, watching band documentaries and all, and then you go, oh wow, I didn't know that about the band. That's why they were so crazy and weird and this and that. So yeah, it was good, and it's really done a lot for Queen's popularity again. Whole new generation. And I'll tell you another little story.
Here's a little story
about how I was in Arizona visiting some family, and everybody in the house had kind of either fallen asleep. It was in the afternoon. We were falling asleep and just relaxing, and I'm sitting there, and it's like, what am I gonna do? Everybody's like sleeping. It's like, and I said, I'm gonna go to a record store. So I got my little handy dandy phone out, and where's the nearest record store? Well, I went to this really great record store, and it was almost probably 90% of the stuff in there is $3 used records. And so of course I had to look at every single record that's $3. So I'm going through like thousands of records, and I'm listening to what they're playing in the music in the store, and I'm listening to what the owner and the guy behind the counter, they're talking, and I'm always listening because they're talking about music, and they're talking about how they had sold so many Queen records just because of the movie, and they said that, we just got in about 10 of the greatest hits records, and I already sold 4 today. And I'm just kind of going, I'm listening, I'm agreeing with what he's saying. And I'm leaving with my records. I'm about to pay for my records. And this mom walks up and goes, do you think this would be a good record to get for my son? And what is it? It's a Queen greatest hits record. So I turned to the guy behind the counter and I said, well, there's number 5 today you selling of that record. And then we just started talking. We just were talking and chatting. It was fun. I always love talking to people about music and records and all that stuff. But Queen is great. I've actually seen Queen, but not with Freddie Mercury.
Oh, did you see Paul Rogers with Queen?
Oh, actually, I did. Well, I've seen him twice. That's right.
Wait, who did you see with Queen then?
It was Adam Lambert.
Oh, you saw Adam Lambert in Queen. All right.
So I saw two different lead singers, but none of them were as good as Freddie Mercury.
Well,
you know?
of course.
Totally were different. I mean, Paul Rogers has a great voice.
Yes.
And Adam Lambert has a great voice, but it's just, it's never the same. It's never the same as the real guy and all that stuff. And I know everybody puts Adam Lambert down for not being Freddie Mercury, but he'll never be. He never can be that. Right. And so you just have to accept what it is, what you're getting. You're never going to see Freddie Mercury again. So you see the as close as you can of the band, that you're going to see. It's like David and I, we went to see a Pink Floyd cover band, and it was like, and you think, oh, that must have sucked. No, that was like tremendous.
It was great. Yeah.
It was really great, and I just use that analogy. It's like, okay, you're never going to see Pink Floyd ever tour again. If you can see a great cover band, go to it. They're really good quality bands, and they're as close as they're going to get to the original guy, and you're going to pay $20 to see him.
And you know why it's so great, Steve, seeing a cover band?
Why?
Because they really care about the music.
Yeah, they do.
They care about perfecting it as much as they can.
As perfect as they can.
Right.
And they usually are. I mean, the band that we went to see was called The Machine. They're kind of a New England area Pink Floyd cover band. Yep. And we were lucky. They were doing 3 full record albums, and it was good, and I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Me too. It was really great.
We highly recommend going to see live music.
Yes, go see live music and buy vinyl. All types of music.
All music, even if it might be a open mic, and those things are like everywhere. Especially in the summertime, they're more popular than maybe now, because there's more people on the shoreline or along Connecticut. But costs you nothing to go there. Maybe you buy a couple beers, you have a drink or a couple drinks. You don't even have to drink. And you get some food, and you get to hear some great different styles of songs and people. Or you go out to a bar and listen to a live band. There's nothing like live music. And there's tons of music out there. And don't say, well, I don't know where it is and I can't find it. Just get your little phone, your smartphone out, and it'll tell you where to find great music.
That's right. All right,
That's right.
Steve, I think we're going to finish up the show because we're going over 40 minutes, I think, in a bit.
We could talk all day, but
we could, but we're only going to give you a little bit of it, everyone.
You'll have to listen to Al's Happy Hour.
Oh, Al's Album Hour is where you get to hear us ramble on. Oh, man.
When we'll just sit there and we'll rant and roll about music and everything and anything in general.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for being on the show, Steve.
Thank you for having me on. It's been a ton of fun.
Thank you.
And keep on rocking.
Yes, keep on rocking. Don't forget,
Coffee is important.
See you next week.